In the not so distant past, when I was a child, I began my school days with a ritual which will be very familiar to uh, the fellows of my country and my generation. I and my classmates would stand, place my hand over my heart, face my flag, and parrot the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just like that. Or something like that. Had you asked me at the time I began performing this ritual daily, when I was 5, what any of the individual words were, I am certain I would not have been able to tell you. I had no clue. I knew the Pledge of Allegiance in the same way ABBA knows Dancing Queen, phonetically. So I wouldn't have been able to tell you what the words were, let alone what they meant, let alone what the entire pledge meant, what it means. In the considerably less distant past, on the 24th of March this year, I and 20,000 of my closest friends stood on the mall in Washington, D.C., faced the Washington Monument, put our hands over our hearts, and said, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Had you asked me then, had anyone asked me then, what that meant to me, I am certain I could not have told you. Now, I knew what it meant to me. I know what it means to me, but I still couldn't vocalize it in any meaningful way to anyone else. I have recited the Pledge of Allegiance more times than I can possibly enumerate. But the words have never meant as much to me as they did that day in the rain. It is important to note that the Pledge of Allegiance began its life as an advertisement in a children's magazine to sell flags. Since then, it has been revised a number of times, not just the one we find most contentious. And it's gone from being an advertisement to being an oath, a rather serious one. It's an affirmation to dedicate oneself to certain ideals. It's weighty stuff for something that began its life in a children's magazine. It is certainly not something that you want someone saying when they don't even know what they're saying. It is rather serious to say, I pledge allegiance to anything, let alone something as fraught with purpose and meaning and political intrigue as an entire country. The idea of having a 5-year-old stand and say, "I pledge allegiance," is so physically repellent to me. It is morally repugnant to have a child who could never ever understand what it means to swear an oath, say these words every day, every single day, to dedicate himself in word, if not in idea, to something like that. It is nauseating to me, the image of my 5-year-old self saying the Pledge of Allegiance. And to the many 5-year-olds out there, every day, standing in their classrooms, parroting sounds that actually have meaning. Actually 4.5 years ago, I stood in the ROTC office at the University of Notre Dame. And for the very first time in my life, though certainly not for the last, I raised my right hand and affirmed that I would support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I would bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I would follow the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me according to the regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. That is something I did on purpose. I did it deliberately, of my own volition, with a sound mind and body. The idea of an 18-year-old child being forced to say that is equally repellent to me. Why do I bring this up? Over the course of my lifetime, I've heard of many people being accused of being Vietnam draft dodgers. Bill Clinton, Ted Nugent, any number of people, Mitt Romney. All of these people have in one form or another avoided going to war, avoided standing in any office, raising their right hand and affirming that they would support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. And I'm happy for them. I'm delighted for them. I don't want them to have been forced to say those words. I don't want anybody to have been forced to say those words. And I am devastated that there were so many who have. It is not for everyone to wear the uniform. It is not, and it really shouldn't be. There are any number of ways that you can contribute to your society without signing over many of your civil liberties to the government. You don't have to do that. And if you have come to the conclusion that you don't want to do that, I am all about that. I support you 100%. Because I am a citizen of the United States of America. And forcing someone to fight for freedom is the worst sort of contradiction. And anyone who sees that and avoids it is, in my mind, part of the American experience, part of the American ideal, as a matter of fact. So I have no problems with draft dodgers. What I do have problems with is the draft. Fortunately enough, the military doesn't want more people, and we are not likely to reinstate the draft anytime soon, despite what some conspiracy theorists will tell you. I'm here to tell you it's not going to happen. Why am I mentioning all this? Why am I bringing this all up? Because I really am very fond of the ideals upon which my country was founded. I am enamored of the idea of civil liberty. I am thrilled with the notion that all people should be treated equally under the law. And I am a strong supporter of the idea that we all have the right to dissent. And those ideals are important enough for me to fight for. Now, whether everything our military engages in it is to that end or those ends, obviously that is certainly up for debate. But the ideals are still there. Clearly we fall short. Clearly we do not always pursue those ends with the vim and vigor we ought. But they are important ideals, and they are the foundation of my nation. And they are worth swearing to support and defend. To me, certainly. And the best way I can think to support and defend those ideals are to allow people to disagree with them as loudly and as enthusiastically as they want to. And to never force anyone to support them. But that's just what I think.